Hello, everyone, and thank you for continuing to visit my website, the YouTube site, with these videos about the Liturgy of the Hours. If you are coming here for the first time, if this is the first time you're hearing my voice and seeing these big, juicy, fat fingers and looking at this, wonderful white-tailed deer hide, then you are not in the right place. This is a more advanced lesson. We're going to be covering solemnities, feasts, and memorials. I'm going to be operating under the assumption that you already know about the ordinary and how to operate the Liturgy of the Hours. I will be rehashing some stuff, but for the most part, it is under the assumption that you already know what you're doing with the Liturgy of the Hours, primarily the 4-book set. But we'll also try to touch on the single books, Christian prayer as well, probably at the during the next videos. Speaking of which, the next videos, this is just the introduction. The next videos will go through a complete day's walkthrough of these celebrations. So let's discuss what they are actually. Solemnities, feasts, and memorials. They're actually all primarily celebrations of saints of the Catholic Church, as well as certain moments in Jesus Christ's life that are important, such as Pentecost, Sacred Heart, Trinity Sunday, things of that nature. The order of these things is solemnity, feast, obligatory memorial, optional memorial. The solemnities are just like Sundays; they are treated as such, which means they include a evening prior to the day itself. Since you already know, Saturday, there is no Saturday evening prayer in your Liturgy of the Hours. That is actually Sunday's evening prayer 1. It's the same thing with solemnities. You'll be celebrating them the night before to begin with. Feasts are slightly different in as much as they do not have the previous evening prayer. That's really the only main difference. Obligatory memorials are memorials that are to be celebrated on those days. No ifs, ands, or buts on that. The optional ones are just as it sounds, optional. You can choose to celebrate that saint if you would like on that day, or you can just use your normal, ordinary Psalter and proper. All right. There are some differences in them, which is going to be covered in videos I'm going to make for each situation, just to break it up and make it easier instead of trying to lump everything into this one discussion. However, this one discussion may actually be enough for you. If it is, great. You can stop after I'm done with this and be done with it. If not, you can continue and watch the other videos, which will cover each one of them. It will be a full day from invitatory straight through until night prayer. So if you want a little brush up or see how a full day is actually operated, that may be of interest to you as well, even if you are experienced. I will be rehashing some of the things that I've discussed in previous videos. Again, this is more advanced, but it is still a little bit of a reminder of things that should be done, things that I've learned since I initially made those videos as well. All right, so let's get started. In the Liturgy of the Hours, you do have two sections. You have the Proper of Saints, which we have already flagged out during one of our sessions here. To me, it's July 9th right now, but anyway, we're going to use different dates, just to cover it. But this is a memorial. Here's something to be aware of. When you come across the red writing, it tells you what it is. It doesn't say obligatory, but the red ones are obligatory. So that would be an obligatory one, a memorial. Solemnity will say solemnity, as will feast. How do you know it's an optional one? Let's see if we can find one. Here, July 13th, Henry. There's nothing written here. That means this is an optional one. In addition, you can also refer back to, now I know I poo-pooed this thing initially, but I've now started to look back at it. It really does help on some days when you don't realize that you're going to be missing something. In particular, because I don't always carry around that red book, the supplement. Remember, these books, the Liturgy of the Hours, was initially published in 1975, I believe. Yeah, it was published in 1975. They have not received permission to reprint these, permission from the Catholic Church, that is. Otherwise, it's not an official book if it's not approved by the Catholic Church. So what they did was they produced supplements Actually, they've only produced one supplement. I believe it's the 1992 version, which is the last one that was approved by the Catholic Church. Yeah, 1992 was the last one approved by the Catholic Church. So there are probably even more that we're missing, but you would have to go to the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops or a liturgical calendar to really catch those. So let's go back to the so then St. Joseph's Guide, it does tell you, it helps you out a little bit. Like recently I missed one. It was let me see if I can find it. It was in June recently. Or was it July? I think it was July 3rd or 4th. There it is. Yeah, I missed this one, Saint Generipo Serra. As you can see, it says new. That means it's a new saint. It's not in the book. You see, there's July 1st. If we refer back to our Liturgy of the Hours, we'll notice that it's July 3rd, June 30th. So the first one starts with July 3rd, so we are missing the July 1st one. So that's an example of why this thing can come in to be useful. And it also, it also does show where you get most of your sections from, which again we'll cover in the videos. I don't want to get too lost in the details right now. The overall view of this, there is in the proper, past the actual proper seasons here, is where you come across your first section. Where is it? Up here it is. The first section of solemnities that appear that are not in the back of the book. And the reason is because these days, let me show you, Solemnities of the Lord during ordinary time. It's a little section after the 17th week in ordinary time. I am on the 1 to 17 ordinary time, third book. These days all hinge on liturgical days such as Easter, which is a movable feast. I believe Easter is calculated based on a lunar calendar. It's like the first full moon after the equinox or something like that. Don't hold me to that. I think I mentioned it in another video. I forget right now. That's not really too important for us. What is important is that everything in this section is based off of that date. In this case, it's the Sunday after Pentecost. Now we know that Pentecost is a certain number of days after Easter. So because Easter changes, Pentecost will change, and because Pentecost changed, Trinity Sunday will change the date. That's why it's not in the back of the book with a specific date. So as you can see, this one is flagged as a solemnity, and it begins with, of course, evening prayer 1. In this section of the book, we cover Trinity Sunday. We have Corpus Christi, I believe, was next. Yep, Corpus Christi. It's the Thursday after Trinity Sunday. And followed up with Sacred Heart. Sacred Heart. Yeah, Sacred Heart. Now, the good thing about these, I think that was the end of it. Right? It's like Sacred Heart. And we're back to the ordinary, yes. The ordinary of the Liturgy of the Hours. The good thing about these, as you saw in there, they are the complete readings, the complete day is listed in there. So you don't have to flip around in a book like you will for the other solemnities, feasts, and memorials. So it makes it a lot easier. The back of the book, as you did see before, since we did flag it in while we were setting it up, we do have our standard. Here's another one, July 5th. This was an optional memorial. Anthony Zechariah. As a matter of fact, notice how I said this was optional, and July 11th is obligatory. You can also see that in the St. Joseph's Guide. So on July 5th, you'll see Friday the 13th week in ordinary time, or St. Anthony Zechariah, or St. Elizabeth of Portugal. But on July 11th, there is no or. It is the Thursday for St. Benedict Abbot. There is no other option. So that also clues you in that this is an obligatory. Another obligatory would be, let's see, not Saturday, because you can see there's an or. So that's the Henry I showed you before. That one is optional. So is the Blessed Virgin Mary on Saturday. These a lot of churches, my parish in particular, one of our priests likes to do the Blessed Virgin Mary memorials on Saturdays when there's nothing happening in ordinary time and there's no other memorials. So that's really nice. All right, so now we have, we've pretty much covered that. If there were any conflicts, like a Memorial Day, a memorial that's supposed to, that falls on a solemnity or even on a Sunday, they're completely ignored. There's just no ifs, ands, and buts. You just ignore any memorials when they happen on solemnities on Sundays. Because again, remember the dates. The dates appear in these books, but they don't know when July 5th is. They don't know if it's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They just don't know. If it falls on a Sunday, you disregard it, even if it's an obligatory, memorial. Although I believe there may be, you may have the option to read, like the second reading in the Office of Readings to match with that. But overall, stick with the Sunday as the solemnity. Solemnities always trump everything else. That is the order: solemnity, feast, obligatory, and then optional memorials. During Lent is another special situation. During Lent, no memorials are said. It is a solemn portion of the year during that Lenten season. So no memorials are celebrated. You just move about as you normally would. And that's really pretty much it for the introduction. Like I said, we are going to cover some of the nuances of each individual type of solemnity. I call them solemnities, as sometimes as a catch-all. So you'll have to forgive me on that. Even when I mean a memorial, I'll try to do my best to keep it, sane. But don't fault me if I mess up there. All right. One of the things that you're also going to notice, that I have noticed, I have to double check for feasts. But for the memorials, day prayer, there is no day prayer for them. There is none. It's the regular, proper that you use, unless it is specific to the proper. Remember, these are the propers here. Now, the reason I say that is because in the proper, it'll tell you Office of Readings. This is where you sleeve in. Remember, in your ordinary, you have your first reading, your second reading for the Office of Readings. Instead of that second reading from your normal. Your proper of seasons, you would do it from the proper of saints here, the second reading. Now, if you'll notice, plus the responsory and the closing prayer. There's nothing else in here. There's no day prayer. There's no evening prayer because it's just a regular, standard, optional memorial. No day prayer. But one of the things that did confuse me a couple times and where I got lost, some of the stuff you get, especially like the invitatory antiphon, you would pull from the Common of Pastors or of holy men, teachers, or religious. Now, here's where it gets interesting. These commons, just by the name alone, should tell you, that they're common prayers, but it usually includes the full day. Even if you're not using the full day, like again, this is an optional memorial. You're not going to be using the day prayer. You're not going to have an evening prayer for it. You're going to be using the regular proper seasons for that. But it's easy to get lost, and I have myself. I've accidentally overrun. Here, 1734. That's 1734. It's Common of Pastors. Common of Pastors. Look, Common of Pastors even starts with an evening prayer one, and it goes through, and it has an Office of Readings. It has the invitatory. It's got Office of Readings. It's got morning prayers. It's got evening prayers. I think it might even have it has daytime prayers. All this stuff can really throw you off because this is not the proper. This is the common. Don't get confused. I have gotten stuck on this, where I started going through it, and next thing I know, I found myself doing the entire Common of Pastors for an optional memorial. That's not correct. Like, again, I'm not going to be struck by lightning or go to hell, or suffer 100 years in purgatory for it. But it's nice to be, to do it the right way, and the right way was just to do the regular blue ribboned proper, well, the Psalter, sorry, and just to do the that daytime prayer. That would have been the right way to do it. So, just a little warning to you because it can get a little bit lost in there. But I'm going to cover the specific days in the next videos. I actually selected 4 dates. So if you want to get your stuff ready, I picked June 24th, which is a solemnity. I picked July 3rd, which is a feast. July 5th, which is an optional memorial. Actually, that's the one I just showed you Who was that? Anthony, was it Anthony? July 5th? Yeah, it was St. Anthony Zechariah. So we're going to cover that one. And also July 11th, the obligatory memorial, which was that abbot. For me, right now, today is July 9th, so in 2 days I'll be doing that anyway, but I'm going to cover that with you as well. That's the obligatory one. I'm going to keep them in order, and hopefully I didn't hash up this discussion too much. And I'll get back to you with the next videos. Thank you. God bless.